Good morning, everyone. My name is Jackie Harounian, and today I'm going to be speaking on a topic that's very, very relevant, whether you are married, whether you are going through a separation or divorce. What I'm speaking about today has to do with co-parenting. And the essential question, if you're raising children, with young children, with teenagers, or even adult children. And the question is, do you love your children more than you hate your ex or dislike your spouse? Can you put your children's best interests at the forefront? And what are your rights and responsibilities as a co-parent of children? Children that deserve to be protected, children that are vulnerable and are going to be impacted by leakage of anger and emotions that you have, that you are projecting or somehow directly or indirectly transmitting to your children because you dislike your ex so much, or if you're still married and in a relationship because you are angry at your spouse. And this is going to be a very brief presentation, only a few minutes, but I want to give credit where it's due. This is inspired by a judge that I know and respect very much, Justice Jody Orlow. I'm sorry, Jody Orlow. How did I get that wrong? Judge Orlow is a Supreme Court matrimonial judge sitting right now in Queens County, and she has this great handout that I'm willing to share with anyone who asks. All you have to do is message me or email me to get a copy of Judge Jody Orlow's handout, and it is on this very topic. Can you put your rights and responsibilities as a co-parent as the paramount consideration ahead of your dislikes of your spouse? And Justice Orlow is a Supreme Court judge, so she is dealing with couples that are going through separation and divorce in a contested court proceeding. And so she has very useful advice. And I just want to make sure that that's very clear for parents that are either staying married or not, that you have a very important responsibility to make sure that your child grows up free from domestic violence, free from abuse and neglect, but also having the right to love their parents, both of their parents, if there are two parents in the picture. And the laws right now are in favor of joint custody. Mothers and fathers, or in a same-sex relationship, both parents have the right to raise and nurture their children. We are living in a world where in most households, mothers and fathers are both working. Both of them have the right to raise their children, whether they're married or separated or divorced. And they have to understand that the fighting, the acrimony, because of the anger or the dysfunction in the household really affects children in very profound ways. Even being raised in a household with no fighting can affect children. The silent treatment, the anger, even if it's not spoken, can really damage children. And we really see this in the court system, in divorce matters. We really see it the most with teenagers, because a lot of times that the children, young children, will not express how they feel, because this anger will build up until the teenage years, where for lots of reasons, they start to act out on those feelings. And as Judge Orlow points out in the court's experience is that when a parent uses their children as a weapon against the other parent, horrible things can occur. The court has witnessed instances of where the children have problems at school, disenchantment with activities they used to enjoy, self-hurting, suicide attempts, eating disorders, as well as many other behavioral issues. Parents must understand that their behavior affects the children, both positively and negatively. And the goal of the court is to avoid these negative outcomes in children. And again, going back to the joint custody and the equal rights that parents have equal rights and responsibilities and obligations to their children. No parent has greater rights than the other or to make parenting decisions, although obviously parents can negotiate different custody schedules, different rights when it comes to decision-making and authority with respect to academic and medical issues. So these are things that parents can agree on, but the court's obligation is to make sure that the rights of the parents are protected, and of course, that the rights of children are protected. So I'm going to go back and just go through some of the suggestions made by Justice Orlow in his handout that she gives out to litigants. And it has to do with number one, being consistent with visits, and to make sure you don't miss visits, and to communicate if you're going to be late with visits. But don't disrespect the schedule, because that does hurt the child. Number two, never use your child as a messenger. If you need to speak to the other parent, you have to text and email the other parent. Don't use the child. Don't put the child in the middle. Number three is a big one. Again, not just in divorce situations, but in marital situations. Don't say anything bad in front of the child about the other parent or the other family. Number four, do not discuss anything about your divorce proceedings with your children. Children do not need to know about adult issues. So it's not just about divorce litigation, but children don't need to know what's going on financially, about how the bills can't be paid, if there's bad things that are happening because of a foreclosure or a bankruptcy or credit card debt. It is not right to discuss these adult matters in front of children. Discuss them behind closed doors. No reason to make children feel like they're going to lose their house or have to move, or that there's anxiety about financial matters. Adult matters should be kept between the adults. Number five, another big one. I hope this is not going on if you're still living together, but do not expose your children to girlfriends or boyfriends during litigation. This is another adult matter. Children do not need to be introduced to new paramours when the marriage is still a marriage. So until there's a divorce decree, preferably you don't introduce your children to new people, because it's confusing for them and it's hurtful to the other parent, which tends to just create even more issues in the family law matter. Number six is a rule that I really like and I agree with. And this is the last one. Parents should not speak verbally to each other. After a divorce is filed, people tend to speak out of anger or hurt and say things that they don't mean. So once spoken, you cannot take back the words that are said. To curb the urge to hurt the other parent, both parties should communicate only by text or email. And then Justice Orlow has a bunch of rules regarding how to communicate effectively, which I think are excellent. But I'm going to stop here. I agree 100%. People that speak on the phone or face-to-face, things can get out of control, and it's very important that you maintain control. And a better way to do that is really by email or text, and there are lots of guidance and actually a lot of apps that are available now to help parents communicate more effectively and more respectfully when they're angry and emotional. And so I'm going to stop here because it's already been going on for several minutes, but invite anyone who wants a copy of Justice Jody Orlow's rules for parents, how to love your children more than you dislike your ex. I think these are excellent pointers that really show how important communication is if you're co-parenting, how impressionable and vulnerable children are if they're in a household where there's a lot of conflict, and just some advice and guidance that we can all benefit from to communicate with more respect and really protect children, because children are innocent. They deserve our protection. Even as they enter into the teenage years, they're still needing protection, and there have to be boundaries so that conflicts don't get out of control, and so that we can be good role models for our children. And so they will learn how to resolve conflict and communicate with respect and feel safe in their home, especially if there's a family law issue at hand. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, but at this moment, I want to wish everyone listening to have a healthy and happy new year. We're going through some very unstable times. Our phones are very busy. A lot of parents are in crisis and are really wondering whether they can continue in their relationship. We always offer a free consultation, and if we can be helpful, don't hesitate to reach out. But if you make the decision to stay in your relationship, make sure that you don't let conflict get out of hand, because you don't want a conflict to lead to calls to the police or orders of protection or things that are just not desirable outcomes. Obviously, if there is violence going on, if you don't feel safe as a child or an adult, then you absolutely should call for help and seek help from the Safe Center or Victim Services Agency, or call 911, and they will give you some resources so that you can stay safe. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy and healthy. Here's to a safe 2022 with more peace of mind for all of us.